Hey there. Welcome to Discover the Divine You. My name is Kimberly Nicole. Right now I'm on a journey to figure out who the real Kimberly Nicole is, who I was divinely created to be. So I created this podcast in hopes others could benefit from what I'm learning and the different ways I'm connecting with a higher power. I created this space for honest conversations about healing, creativity, spiritual growth, and learning to reconnect with myself while living presently in my life. I'm a mom of 3. I have a job. I'm in 12-step recovery. Real life happens every day. So this is a space of no pressure, no expectations, no perfection, just progress. A journey towards finding peace, clarity, and connection to something bigger than ourselves, going from chaos to calm. So here we go. I'm so glad you're here to take this journey with me. Let's get creative. Episode 39, That's Not Mine to Carry. Okay, welcome back. It's Discover the Divine You with Kimberly Nicole. And today, we're piggybacking on yesterday a little bit, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper into guilt. Because I want to talk about appropriate guilt, because there is clean guilt, right? Just like there's clean pain, and there's inappropriate guilt and dirty guilt, I guess we could call it. Because a lot of times, I take on this feeling that I've done something wrong when I haven't. So every good thing comes from God. That's what I believe. And every not so good thing comes from the darkness, the devil, the adversary, evil, whatever the frick you want to call it. Doesn't matter. It's just not light. It's not joy. It's not happiness. It's not God. It is the opposite of that. Okay? And I know there has to be dark for there to be light, and there has to be, you have to know good from evil and evil from good and all those things. Like everything works together, right? But there is appropriate guilt and there's inappropriate guilt. For example, if I punch my friend in the face and she cries, I feel bad. I feel guilty. I'm like, oh crap, my hand hurt her. I did this. That's an appropriate guilt. That's taking responsibility, right? For my part in her crying. And then that's when I know, I've got to say I am sorry and make amends and apologize for my part that caused her pain. There's also a very tricky one where we take responsibility for other people's emotions, right? And this one is very nuanced and sketch. This one, I feel like, is used by the adversary lots and lots and lots, like a plethora of times, because it's subtle and creepy the way it works, okay? So an example in my life is I will set a boundary and someone will cry and throw a guilt trip my way. And sometimes it's very obvious that this person is just trying to manipulate the situation. But other times it's not so obvious, okay? So for instance, if I lay down a boundary and someone's feelings are genuinely hurt, I obviously played a part in that, but not because I was trying to hurt them in any way, but because I was no longer willing to play the role that they wanted me to play in their life. And they have to mourn that. They have to they're allowed their feelings over that, but it's not my responsibility. Like if I tell someone, sorry, you can't touch me like that, and they feel sad about it and they get offended and or defensive and like explode, is it my responsibility to feel bad and say sorry? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't owe anyone any explanations for my boundary setting, especially when it comes to my body. And I absolutely do not need to carry their response to me setting that boundary. So I don't have to feel guilt about them feeling sad or mad or whatever. Right? I also used to feel like this ridiculous amount of guilt if I would leave somewhere and not say I love you to someone. Like, what happens if they die? Oh my gosh, I was mean to them. And on one hand, sure, I said I love you more times than people probably wanted to hear it, right? There's nothing wrong with this. But I would panic if I couldn't say I love you to someone and we left each other. And I think that honestly started after my grandfather passed away and I didn't get to say goodbye. You know, my parents wanted to shield me and protect me from seeing him on his deathbed, but all I wanted was to be with him. And not being there, to no fault of my own, I felt so guilty that he thought I didn't love him because I didn't get to say goodbye. And, you know, I did say bye. I went in there and I said I loved him before he passed away. And I know he knows I love him. And if he didn't, then he knows now because he can see all the things I'm saying right now. But I was scared to lose someone and not be able to say how I felt. At least as far as love went. I never really could say how I felt otherwise because I didn't want to upset anybody ever. My people pleaser was like, no, everybody has to love me all the time. And I needed to be the perfect daughter and the perfect sibling and the perfect wife and the perfect mother and the perfect churchgoer and community member and recovery person and all the things. And that's a lot of pressure, right? So I had all this guilt that I was carrying around. I was like, I felt bad that I wasn't everything for everyone all the time. And if I ever let anyone down, even if their expectation was ridiculously high and no human being could meet it, I still felt guilty about it. And maybe sometimes I still do. I don't know. I have to think on that one. That's a deep one. But I think there is clean guilt and there is filthy guilt. There is guilt that is definitely ours and there is guilt that is definitely not. And higher power can take both. He can walk us through both, right? I don't have to do this life alone. I don't have to deal with guilt alone. Ever again. Ever again. There is literally nothing on this planet that I have to ever do alone. And I think that guilt and shame are two of the heaviest things we have to carry as human beings. But the truth is we don't have to carry them for very long. And I think the heaviest thing ever is loss, sadness, and mourning. Even if it's mourning someone who's alive, someone who's just not a safe person for us, that's really hard too. And having guilt around that, having guilt around setting boundaries and people not liking them, having guilt around having to say, no, I'm going to stay home. You know, we are choosing to feel guilty. I'm choosing to feel guilty. God's not going to work through guilt. My God doesn't work through guilt. Not the unclean kind, right? Not the unclean kind. He works through peace and love and patience and kindness and comfort. I don't feel any kind of connection to my higher power when I'm in the dirty guilt. In the clean guilt, for sure. I'm like, okay, God, I see you. I need to make amends for that. That makes sense. But sometimes, you know, I overthink things and I feel guilty about stuff that other people don't even notice. Like stuff I've carried around for 20 years and then later made amends for in my 12-step program. People have literally said, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't even remember that. And here I am feeling like a piece of garbage because I carried that around and I remembered that specific thing forever. And then there's also guilt, dirty guilt around like I said sorry and other people, they say F you. They don't want to forgive me. That's their choice. But I don't have to feel guilty about it anymore. I've done my part. After all I can do, I give the rest over to God. And I'm not saying, hey, God, I did this terrible thing here. Take this from me. No, like we have to make amends. That's part of the process. So we have to feel that healthy guilt, that clean guilt, but we absolutely don't have to feel the dirty guilt. So I don't know if that helped anybody or made any sense to anyone, but it really helped me and really helped me remember that I don't have to be carrying around this heavy bag of other people's stuff. And I get to choose how I feel and what I carry today. Ha! I'm the boss. I'm the mama now, right? I can choose. That's magic. That's a miracle. That is actually how it was meant to be in the first place. Like, that was God's plan. Not for us to carry crap that's not ours and drag these anchors around for our whole lives, living miserably. That is literally the opposite of what God wants from us. All he asks is for us to be our divine selves and choose him over everything else. But guess what? When we choose him over everything else, we get all the things we want anyway. All the things that are good for us. All the best things. And then we truly believe and understand that we deserve all those things because we are children of God. That's amazing. Isn't that amazing? And I'm working on a visual illustration, audio, visual, whatever project right now that kind of encompasses what I was just talking about. And I'm hoping it will be done in the next couple weeks, but I'm not an illustrator. I'm an artist, a drawing. I just like to draw. And I'm doing this all digitally and with, music and sound effects and recordings and all kinds of things. So it's going to take me a minute to work through it, but I think it will be really helpful, especially if you're a visual learner like me. I think it will be helpful for a lot of us. So I'm not sure if I'm even brave enough to share it once it's done, but I will pray about it and I will let you know. And I think I'm going to leave it there and I will see you again tomorrow. So do something kind for yourself. Go be creative and I will see you later. Hey, thanks so much for being here today. You're my favorite. I'm so glad you came. I know life is busy, so I really do appreciate the time you're taking to do some self-care and hang out with me for a little bit. If something that we talked about today resonated with you and you want to dig a little deeper, I put together a 5-minute creative reset guide called Chaos to Calm that you can access in the show's description. And I would be so grateful if you'd subscribe and share this podcast with someone out there that you think could benefit from what we're creating here together. Also, remember, I am just sharing my experience, strength, and hope as I understand it here. So if bigger emotions come up, please take care of yourself and reach out to a licensed professional or someone that you trust for support. You are not alone in this. So until we create together again, please be kind to yourself and do something creative because you deserve it.